Guys, Griffin Time Machine Transport. So I'm surprised that coolant is that clear and still red like it's brand new. This truck hasn't run in a while. I mean, it starts and everything, but it just hasn't been on the road much. So anyways, I pulled the, and I've done a few videos years ago. I'm pulling my head and stuff like that and replacing injectors. So this is a completely different animal. This is a Kenworth T2000. So the motor cover bolts, those were 10 millimeter. So you gotta take them completely out. If you leave them in, they're gonna get caught when you start taking. You cannot take this cover. At least I can. I'm not a mechanic. I don't pretend to be, but you cannot get this cover off unless you pull this. And that's got all your, I assume, your heater core and everything. But anyways, it's got coolant lines going from the coolant reservoir over to here. That's your heater unit, heater core, whatever you want to call it. So you got to pull those lines, and then there's, so this right here and that right there, there's two bolts, one here, one there, that are, I think those were 1/2 inch. And then you have another bolt there, another bolt down there, and then you got two bolts here. And this whole unit slides right out, but I'm going to need 2 hands for it, so I'm going to put you on pause. All right, I don't think you're going to have to do this, but I am. So take a picture, because there's 3 sensors here for the AC. And have yourself a jug so you can catch the majority of your coolant once you take those lines off. But this AC system in this truck needs to be gone over anyways. So I'm going to pull this expansion block. I'm just going to pull this nut right here, disconnect it, because this is all connected to this housing. So I'm going to grab a socket. All right, guys, got that off. That was also a 10 millimeter. So now this unit should completely come out. All right, guys, and then we just got these 3 plugs, it looks like, and then we can access. You want to allow yourself as much room as possible. Don't try to do this, trying to get into tight spaces or anything. You're just going to get frustrated, because once I pull the cover, I got to pull the rocker arms, and it's just better to, like I said, in my truck, there's actually just a little cutout that's held in by a couple bolts, and that's how that comes out. But it was also kind of good too, because I pulled the filters. They were fucking filthy. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug those. I think all 3 of them are different. All right, and the reason why I said that they're different, because if they were the same style plug, you'd want to mark these, but they're not. One's a 6-prong, one's a 4-prong, and then obviously you have this big one. So there's no need to do that. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and put you on pause. All right, and that's that. I'm going to pull that down so I can wipe it all down, get all the crud out of it, and now I can actually get in there nice to pull the head cover. So anyways, I'll put you back on pause. All right, now with that piece gone, like I said, there's way more room than I need up here. All right, and that's what we're looking at. These are the rocker arms. It's marked rear and Jake brake. Or I'm sorry, here, front, rear. You can screw that up. So now, on my previous video, I think this was either a 18 or a 19, those bolts. What do we got? 2. I know you got this front one here, which is, it's all the same as my other truck. So, or our other truck. So it looks like the harness wires are good. You need a Phillips. And it's pretty self-explanatory which Those are that's your injector harness wires right here. And then we will have to torque in a sequence once we get to that point. But the valve cover, like I said, this motor, brand new head, new injectors. I didn't know what running the overhead was at the time when Max did this, but now I'm capable of doing it all now. So I don't think we're going to need a new a motor cover gasket or seal. It looks like it's all right. So another thing I did is I took this harness and it was bolted to the head. So I undid that. So it wouldn't be snagging on anything, because these, believe it or not, these rocker arms are pretty heavy. So and then get yourself a piece of cardboard, because you don't want to lay those down on a dirty piece of or dirty floor or anything and get debris in there. So I was wrong on these. So these are the Jake brake wires. I was looking, I'm like, how the hell are there only 3 wires? Like I said, I am not a mechanic. I don't pretend to be a mechanic, but I can do all this stuff on my own. So these right here are your Jake brake wires. So there's 3 of those. Looks like one's a Phillips. I haven't seen one ever with a Phillips. They're normally the flathead. Yeah, like that one right there too. So we're going to go ahead and unscrew these. Just remove the wire, kick them off to the side, and then I'll let you know what these bolt size are. I want to say they're 18 or 19, like I said. All right, guys, make sure you take your time, because if you break these, you're probably going to have to solder it back on, which is not a good thing. So just be gentle with them. You don't have to get gorilla on them. Just take your time. And then the wires, I don't even have to mark them, because this one is the longest out of the 2, and I know it's got to go here, and then the short one's going to go there. So they got these little clips right here. You can just pop it out like that. Fold it over to the side. This gray wire, that's for our beacon lights on our mirrors, so it has nothing to do with it. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and grab my socket and start wrenching these out. Like I said, you want to take your time on this. You don't want to screw around, break a bolt or whatever using an impact. I won't do that. So you can do whatever you want, but all right, guys. So yeah, it is an 18. So I'll go ahead and start taking these off. It looks like 1, 2, 3, and then some smaller ones here. Well, these are like you're gonna need like a 12-point socket for those, but you got 4 and then 5 right there. This might actually be an 8. A 17 or maybe even a 19. I remember on my truck this was a different size for whatever reason. So there's the rocker arm itself. There's a threaded piece that's just a regular nut, and then these are bolts. All right, and put you on pause. All right, guys, just wanted to show you this. So I'm using a cheater bar because they are on there pretty tight. So anyways, I got just about all of them loosened up. So if you want to make your work a little easier, grab a cheater bar. All right, guys, got them all loosened up except for the front. And then there's another one in the rear. Those are 19 millimeter. I'll grab you a light so you can see. I'm too fat to be doing this shit. Right there. That should be a 19 as well. Like I said, those are both nuts. So I am going to put you back on pause. All right, guys. Got everything loose and taken out except for the bolts. I just leave them in there because they're not going to harm anything. So now you can go ahead and lift the jakes out. Then we'll get down to the rock arms. So I will put you back on pause. All right, guys. I remember, so they are going to be 12 points. I remember, see how that one's burnt? I remember I had to modify the socket for whatever reason. So, and these big long things right here, those are spacers. So they just come right out like that. So get those and we'll clean those up. And then we're going to get to taking out the rocker arm bolts. Put you back on pause. All right, so the 12 point is a 12 millimeter, I think it is. Yeah, 12 millimeter. And then you're gonna have these, I think there's one in the back that you gotta get to, but it looks like, I don't know, 4 or 5 bolts, something like that per. So I'm gonna go ahead and same thing, I wouldn't take those off with an impact. Once you get them broke free, then you could use an impact, but I definitely wouldn't. And then we're going to get down to the injectors. All right, guys. So all the bolts. So you got one right back there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It looks like. I just leave the bolts in once you, like I said, once you break them free, then you could use an impact, but there's no reason why you can't just use the old manual strength, right? So anyways, I think that is, yep, hold on, put you on pause.